What can Jessica see? Oh, this is what you're looking at. Cortical visual impairment. It's so complicated. Lighting matters, crowding matters, contrast matters, fatigue matters greatly. Hey everybody, it's Val. In today's Q&A, I'm going to answer one of the most frequently asked questions that we've ever gotten and continue to get. What can Jessica see? If you're new to our channel, be sure and hit the subscribe button. If you want to be notified when we publish new videos, you can hit the bell icon and YouTube will let you know that we're either live or that we've published some new content. So something that's real confusing to a lot of people is the fact that Jessica is blind. Jessica has what's called a cortical visual impairment. There's been a misperception for a long time about blindness means like total blindness, can't see anything. And that's just not the case. The case is blindness means a lot of different things. I would like to talk to you about what it means for Jessica. So Jessica has a congenital birth defect and part of her brain didn't develop. On the back left side of her brain, she has damage to that same area on the right hand side around the visual cortex. That damage probably came from hydrocephalus. So CVI is short for cortical vision impairment or cortical visual impairment. And there's also the term called cortical blindness. Some people don't like to use the term cortical blindness, but in Jessica's case, it's an accurate description of Jessica's blindness. So I'm going to draw you a diagram. Please forgive my artistry. I want to draw a diagram that shows the typical visual pathway or how most of us perceive what we're looking at. In my drawing here, I'm going to draw the eyes, a representation of the lens, and then the nerve pathways that go around the eyes. So that's what that is, okay? In green, I'm going to draw a line that shows the left visual field. And then in blue, I'm going to draw the right visual field. From the left visual field, from the left side through the lens to the back of the eye, toward the center of the vision, it's going to go through the lens to the other eye, to the right eye. And then on the right side, the same thing. You have a line that goes from the outer edge of your vision through the lens to the back of the eye, and then to almost center through the lens to the back of the other eye. So that's information coming into the eye. So if you have your visual field in front of you and you divide it in half, you've got information coming from out here through the lens and it hits the back of this eye. And then you have information in the middle that goes to the outside of your other eye. Same thing on this half of your visual field. From out here, information goes in your eye to the back, and then from the center, it goes to the back side of that eye. So that's what I've drawn so far. So then you have your optic nerves. The blue is going to represent the optic nerve from the right visual field. It's going to cross over and go to the left visual cortex. Just a representation of the visual cortex, right and left. From the vision that goes to the center to the other side of the other eye, there's a little more of the blue optic nerve that goes like this. Then we're going to do the left side, and you have a line that goes over to the right visual cortex, and this one goes over to the right visual cortex like that. So in the middle, everything meets and crosses over. So from there, the information goes to the primary visual cortex. So that's what most people, that's how they process information. Most people, the information comes in, crosses over, it goes to the visual cortex, and it says, oh, this is what you're looking at. So for Jessica, this is how it's different. That left side visual cortex is not there. So all the information from that left side doesn't exist. So that's what you're left with. You're left with the left eye, the left visual field. The information comes in and it goes back to the right visual cortex. And this is just a representation. This is not an actual scientific drawing. This is a representation of Jessica's visual pathway. So that's the information that's coming this way. So what about the information that's coming this way? Vertical. What does she see in this vertical field? So let me show you what she sees in this field. So I'm going to draw a couple of stick figures, and they're looking sideways. And this blue line represents vertical. So up and down, what you see when you're looking in front of you, from up here to down here, that's what the blue line is. For most people, if they're looking straight ahead, the degree that they see upwards is 50 degrees, and what they see downward is 70 degrees. So that creates this arc right there. That's most people's vertical visual field. So if we draw that line, we're going to draw a dotted line to represent that. Jessica's visual field is about like this top of middle and about this below middle. So that's Jessica's vertical visual field. So what does this mean? Let me do like a pretend here of what what her window of vision is. She can't see any of this. Can't see above here. Can't see below here. You know, can see a little bit of peripheral on that side. So what about what she sees in that eye? Although she can see through that eye, how her brain interprets that information is not known. This eye may have some light perception, but it may not. This eye does not have 20/20 vision in that window. One of the reasons why Jessica's vision in that little window that she has isn't clear is probably the damage that was done when she had hydrocephalus. She had pressure on her brain back there with the brain tissue compressed in for at least 6 to 8 months before she was diagnosed as having hydrocephalus. And actually, the neurosurgeon thought all of this brain tissue had never developed. And then when they put the shunt in and drained that pressure off, there was actually a little more tissue than they expected, and it was able to expand back out. And so it actually is there, but probably has some damage to it. And that's probably why she can't see clearly out of that window of vision that she does have. Jessica's not able to explain to us what she sees. She has nothing to compare to. So when we get a report from an eye doctor, it says things like, I'm going to read directly from a report. No light perception in the right eye. This is from a doctor's report. No light perception is considered total vision impairment or total blindness. That's what no light perception means. So in that right eye, no light perception. Nystagmus. Nystagmus is a visual condition of the eyes which make this repetitive, uncontrolled movement, often result in reduced vision. And it just means the eyes are not able to hold an image steady that you're looking at. Sometimes people that have nystagmus will tilt their head in a different way, like backwards, to see better or to compensate for the vision they do have. I'm going to show you some pictures. Here's one picture of Jess with a head tilt, and you can tell she's tilting her head to look at something. Another thing on her vision report from the doctor is large alternating esophoria. I'd never heard that till I read this report, and it is a condition characterized by inward deviation of the eye, usually because of muscle imbalance. So for her right eye that she doesn't use as much as her left eye, the muscles are not equal, and sometimes that eye will turn in, and we see that more often when she's tired or when she's really happy or excited about something. Sometimes I don't know what that has to do. I don't know if it's related to the muscles being used to be excited and facial, or if she's like totally so not focused on visual things because she's just excited that that stronger muscle takes over. I'm not sure. But here's a couple of pictures of Jessica when her eye's in and when it's not in, because in these pictures you can see they're in the same time frame. One moment the eye's turned in and one moment it's not. If we see it moving inward and we say, okay, Jess, look, or try to see this, can you see this? If she makes an effort to look at something, it straightens that eye back out. So the second type of visual assessment is a functional vision assessment or functional visual assessment. For Jessica, I think the most thorough one she ever had was when she was in high school, but she was already probably 18 to 20 at that point. She can recognize many colors. Like her worst colors to see and recognize are orange and yellow, which is unusual because a lot of times with people with CVI, those are better colors. But for her, they're not. Her best color to see is blue, and I think that's why it's her favorite color. Sometimes she calls purple blue, and sometimes if you have a bluish green, she'll call it blue. That's her best colors. Here's an example of some things Jessica can see. From a distance of 30 inches, that's 2.5 feet, she can see 3-inch black letters on a wall. From a distance of 6 inches, she can see 2-inch black letters on a wall. Here's some distance things that she was able to see. From 20 feet, she could recognize a school bus. From 10 feet, she could see 1 foot tall letters on a wall banner. So 10 feet, she could see letters that were about this big. When they did this assessment, Jessica could read block letters, but didn't recognize lowercase letters or mixed fonts. When the words were in all caps, block letters placed 1/4 inch apart, that's what she could see the best. But crowding of letters or words greatly reduced her success at being able to identify things. Also, things that affect her ability to see were poor lighting or inferior lighting and not good contrast. I made a note a while back. This is when we lived in our other house. Recently, Jess came into our small kitchen, talked with me for more than a few minutes, and never saw that somebody else was sitting at the kitchen table. She can be in a room, be interacting with the person, and not know there's another person in the room. As recently as in the last couple of weeks, she was in a room with somebody and didn't know where they were. Sometimes I can be sitting where I'm not usually sitting, not in my usual spot, and she doesn't know I'm there. And she'll say, "Where's Mama?" And I'll say, "I'm right here." She won't know I'm there because she looked for me in my usual spot, and she can tell if I'm in my usual spot. And if I'm not there, she doesn't know where I'm at. But the main thing I want to express here is it's so complicated. It's so complicated because, you know, you can't see here, you can't see here, you can't see here, but you can see a little bit here, but that's not clear. Lighting matters, crowding matters, contrast matters, fatigue matters greatly. So in CVI, people with CVI, when they're tired, they're less likely to be able to identify things. And it's not necessarily that their vision has changed. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of concentration, a lot of effort, a lot of focus to see and identify things. So does it cause fatigue? Yes, it does. So when we're in environments where Jessica's really relying on her vision to navigate or get around or whatever, she's going to get tired real quickly because it is fatiguing to identify things and work out what things are. One of the most important things that I can point out is when we are at home, Jessica knows where almost everything is. She knows where the step ups, the step downs, the doors, the drawers, the rooms, the furniture. And Jess can walk around the house like nobody's business and not run into the furniture because she has a mental map of what's in the room, what's in the house, where everything is. Same thing goes for her grandparents' house, her aunt's house, her uncle's house. In familiar environments, she gets around so great, you literally wouldn't notice that she has a vision impairment. But you take her outside of that, especially if you're outside, her vision is greatly reduced outside because it's usually so bright. There's a lack of contrast that you can achieve inside. And if you're not somewhere familiar, she has to go what we call sighted guide, which means she holds on to one of us. The appropriate way to do sighted guide is to offer her your arm and let her hold on to you and not you hold on to her. We do hold on to her sometimes when her hands are full or if we're somewhere we feel like she's at a high risk of falling. She's definitely a fall risk. We sometimes take her cane with us. She has a white cane. It's helpful, but it's not reliable as her only mode of transportation or navigation through an environment. If you missed the video we published a few days ago where she's walking through an antique store and we're guiding her sighted guide, but also Hannah's helping her by saying, that's what this is what that is. As Jessica touches things and says, what is this? What is this? What is this? What is this? This is how we enhance Jessica's life by telling her all the time what we can see and what things are that she's missing out on because she can't see them. If you missed that, go back and check those out. Also recently in a video, we went shopping at a grocery store. If you missed it, I'll put a link up here. You can go back and kind of look for the moments where she's looking for things and asking how to find things or what it is. And the frustration that can come with that sometimes when she can't find what she's looking for and we can't find it either. So I hope that is helpful on what can Jessica see and what CVI means, what it is. I'm very open for questions. I know this has been kind of a technical presentation of a Q&A, but I wanted to try to demonstrate and explain it the best I could to help you understand what's happening with Jess and her vision. So thanks for watching, everybody. Please put your questions in the comment. I will try to answer as many as possible. As always, thanks for watching. We appreciate you guys so much. I'll do a Q&A again next week, so be looking for that. Bye, everybody.